Hello, welcome to the Scale Modelling Cafe. Welcome to this year's review. Done one or two of these now. The channel's been going for a few years, and I'm not going to do what most YouTubers do, and that is just go through all my analytics, because how boring would that be? What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to say a big thank you to everybody who's watched, everybody who's clicked the like button, everybody who's made a comment, and I've got a few regular commenters now, so thank you very much to all you guys, and especially a big thank you to all the subscribers at around 6,500 now, which is absolutely fantastic. So to all the new subscribers, welcome to the channel, and to all the old guard, thank you very much for sticking with me. And if you're wavering about whether to click on the subscribe button, don't waver, click it, all right, and click a like as well every now and again, and that will really help me out and push this channel out to a wider audience. Right, with that YouTube blah out of the way, let's crack on with the review of the year. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the 12 kits that I made. If I've forgotten one, I'm really sorry. But I went through the back catalogue, had a look at what I'd published over the last year, and I got it from there. But I may have made a mistake and missed one. If I have, stick a comment in below. Also, be great to hear which ones did you enjoy, which model do you prefer, you know, which is one of your favourite ones or some of your favourite ones. And also the videos, which videos you preferred, even if you didn't necessarily, you know, the model itself might not necessarily be your thing. Did you really like the video? And just be great to get some feedback. Right, again, enough blah. Let's crack on. I've got my notes just below the camera here. Hopefully the eyes will hold up. Right, the first one then is the Tamir F14 in 1/48 scale. This I built for a friend of mine. Through quite a bit of aftermarket at it. The main focus for me on this model though was not only the added pressure of doing it for a friend of mine, so it had to be good. It was a weathering challenge, and I've not used I've not done a model of a sort of modern US Navy aeroplane for quite some time, so that was a good challenge to get back into that. A lot of the markings were sprayed, and had my silhouette cutter now for a little while, and that's transformed my modelling really. One or two boo-boos with this one. The main one is I glued the bottom of the nose wheel on back to front like an arse, and I still haven't fixed it, and it's still at my friend's, so he's going to have to bring that back when he picks up the F4 and the Sea Harrier. More of that later. So we're going to do a bit of a swap, and then hopefully I can do a bit of a quick repair job on that and then get back that to him. But yeah, fantastic kit, obviously. I know a lot of people say it's Tamir's best ever, which, you know, is going some, and I thought it was a beautiful kit to build. So that was the first one. Okay, the second one, Edward Seafire. You will note that this is in no particular order, by the way. It's not in the order that I published them or built them. I just went through and I just sort of grabbed them and stuck them on the list. So, yeah, slightly out of order, but, you know, that doesn't matter. This one was the Edward Seafire. So the build of this is not on the channel. I didn't actually video it. This was a for me. In fact, this was a Shelf of Doom. The only model that's on my, or was on my Shelf of Doom. I don't tend to have a Shelf of Doom. If it's not going particularly well, I tend to bin the whole thing. But this was a conversion using the 1/72nd scale Edward Spitfire Mk12C, and what turned out to be the Airfix Mk5 nose. I started going down the AZ models route of the nose, but it didn't really fit particularly well. And was, yeah, that's why the project stalled. The Airfix Spitfire nose fitted much better and gave a really nice result. Obviously, it's a Seafire, and an early Seafire at that, a Mark III. I had to scribe in the wing fold lines, and I had to convert the radiator underneath. And all I did is I just filled the cavity, the well, filled that with Mr. Hobby epoxy, sanded it flush, and glued in the, I think it was the Airfix bit. It might have been the AZ models, I can't remember now. And then I used the Freight Dog conversion for, they brought out a limited edition Seafire set with a resin hook, and I used that. And then friend of the channel Nige, before I got my cutter, friend of the channel Nige had made me some Seafire strengthening plates from vinyl, and I used that. And the markings were also sprayed, thanks to Nige. And a lovely little model. It's one of my favourites, actually, sat in the cabinet, and I'm really pleased to have a bit of a unique model there. Right, that was that one. Sticking with the Fleet Air Arm theme, funny old thing, was the Trumpeter Fulmer. I was very excited about seeing this kit, and yes, there are a few issues, mainly in the cockpit and with the shape of the transparencies. Transparencies are actually really thick, like really thick, which actually is an advantage because they've molded the shape to square. Exactly the same with the Battle, which is why I'm not going to bother getting that one. That one is going to be very difficult to fix. But there's enough material there to round the whole thing off and then polish it back. And again, using my silhouette cutter for some various panels and things like that, I repaired all the damage. And again, this is going to be a bit of a cliche, isn't it? It's one of my favourite kits in the cabinet. Not too much aftermarket thrown at it. Quite a bit of scratch building on this one. The catapult spools, the sort of all the naval gubbins underneath, and the retraction mechanism for the inner gear doors, which is completely missing from the kit and is very prominent. That was all scratch built, as was the observer's cockpit, the left-hand cockpit wall of the pilot's cockpit as well. So a lot of scratch building in that one, and really pleased with how that one turned out. Again, all the markings were sprayed. Another conversion now. Edward with the SBS conversion for the HA112 K1L Triala. This was a short series of videos, mainly concentrating on the construction. I'd originally bought the Mulberry 3D printed conversion set, but it was way undersized. There was no way it was going to fit, and it's not going to fit the Tamir kit either. The SBS set is for the Tamir kit, but I wanted to see whether I could rescue this project, because I'd started cutting the nose away to accept the Mulberry set, and it was clearly never going to work. I nearly just chucked the whole lot in the bin, which is a shame because the Mulberry kit was quite expensive. But I thought, no, let's rescue it and let's get the SBS kit. And I'm really glad I did, because I think it's a really pretty aeroplane. Again, all the markings are sprayed on that one. And yeah, again, another unusual model for my collection. Okay, excuse me while I just itch my nose. Sticking with Edward and sticking with Spitfires, two this time, double build. My Malta project, which I did on the channel as a dual build with a good friend of mine, Rick Lawler, from the Propaganda channel. So go and check his channel out. We did a buddy build. Rick is a dyed-in-the-wool diorama military vehicle kind of guy, although he has done a bit of sci-fi. And I proposed, why don't he challenge himself and do an aeroplane, and I'll do one as well, and we'll do Malta Spitfires. And really inspired by some of the colour schemes in the Colour Conundrum series of articles or books from Sam Publications, where the Paul Lucas has done a deep dive into Malta Spitfires, answered a lot of questions. I won't say improved upon, but increased the knowledge, building on Brian Couchie's research in his book, which is amazing, which I also got, and just really inspiring. So taking the Spitfire 5C and 5B, I did two of them in two Malta schemes, which, you know, are very different, and really went to town on the weathering, and so did Rick, and he did his in a sort of crash on the beach diorama with a lot of history behind that. So that was an exciting project, and even I did a little base for that. which was, I thought I owed it to Rick, really. If he's like way out of his comfort zone, I could go a little bit out of my comfort zone and do a little diorama base, which I did, and I really enjoyed that. Right, Ed Rod again, 109 G2, this time in 72nd scale, essentially straight from the box. This one, I really love the desert scheme, but with the green mottle over the desert scheme. Really wanted to do that one. Very simple kit, beautiful kit, falls together. Threw a few little extra things on there. The ones that I can remember are the gun barrels. I think that one had a prop spinner as well. It just it's got separate spinner backplate and blades, so it's much easier to paint it all separately and stick the blades on, as opposed to using the kit where you've got all three blades together, which you've got to do a bit of a sandwich. You've got to paint it all separately, and the detail is slightly better, but you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference. And yeah, I think the wheel wells were done on that one as well. But beautiful little kit, concentrated mainly on the painting and weathering on that one, and that's going to be published in a future publication, which I'll mention it now. I'm doing another book for ammo. I'm not going to give away at this stage what the theme of it is, but that is going to be appearing in there. So no magazine article for that one, no video build at all, and I just did a bit of a debrief like I did with the Seafire, and that seemed to be quite popular, and I enjoyed doing it, and it's obviously a lot less work for me, which is another bonus. So beautiful kit, that one. All right, next, talking of the opposite of beautiful kits, this was the Kinetic Sha. Sea Harrier FRS1, again for the same friend that I built the F14 for. This kit fought me every step of the way, but I knew what I was getting into. This kit was built for my friend who was gonna, I was gonna donate the fee for that to my daughter's charity. Two of my daughters are running the London Marathon for WizKids, and I know a number of you have donated to that cause. WizKids is a charity that helps children and young adults who are wheelchair bound in their everyday lives. So it's a subject that's close to my daughter's hearts. Their best friend back from Ilchester when I was stationed at Yeovilton unfortunately caught some horrible thing and ended up confined to a wheelchair. So they're kind of doing it for her and her family, which is fantastic. I will link the charity in the description below. And even if you can, just £1 or $1 or anything like that, they've got this massive target that they have to reach, and they are very close now. And any donations will be very gratefully received. I'll, like I say, stick all the details in the down below. But anyway, the kit itself fought me every step of the way. As I said, I threw some extras at it. The Airers cockpit, too wide by about 2 mil. That was horrendous to try and shoehorn in there. It's got a new sort of fan blade. Can't really see it if I'm honest. The nozzles were replaced, so a load of extras there, but I'm actually really pleased with how it's turned out in the end. For such a difficult kit, it's by no means perfect, and I did the very best I could. And like I say, it fought me all the way, and it's a real mojo sapper. But actually, looking at it all completed, I was pleased with how it turned out. So that's the Kinetic Sha. Sticking with the Jets theme was Ammo's Mk12 Fresco. This was a sort of paint mule demonstration thing for the new Atom line of paint. So they'd sent me some prototype paint, so not in the sort of eventual packaging. Some of the labels were the same, but the dropper bottles were different. Some didn't have any labels on at all. But I thought, if I'm going to test the paints, why not test it on their model kit? Obviously, they've outsourced the kit. But yeah, lovely kit. And the paints behaved beautifully. That is a freehand camo. And who knew you could do freehand camo like that with acrylics? And yeah, just a lovely model all round, straight from the box. No aftermarket extras on that one at all. Not even Ammo's aftermarket extras. A quick project. I was really worried about the pitot probes on either wing, but they still survived. So that was a bit of a relief. And a lovely project. But like I say, the main one was about the paints, and the paints were brilliant. And I've got another project which is coming up next year when I'm going to use those paints as well. So really exciting to dabble back in the acrylics and the atom range. Yeah, brilliant. Right, 3 more to go. We're getting there. Qatari Spitfire. Bit of a legendary kit now, I think. Almost like a modern classic. Really innovative. I'm sure everybody knows the story behind Qatari. They are the Wingnut Wings guys that after that all folded, sort of rose like a phoenix into a new company and produced early Spitfires, and then the later Spitfire Mark 1, Mark 2, the 5A's now out, the 5B is out soon. Really keen to get one of their Mark 5s. But going back to the Mark 1, I wanted to do this as a Battle Britain machine. This was the early boxing, and yeah, I'm not so much of a massive fan of the two-bladed sort of prop and early canopy and all that kind of stuff. You know, lovely aeroplane, obviously, it's a Spitfire, but I do prefer the look of the sort of classic Battle Britain 3-bladed prop bubble canopy in that brown and green camouflage. And I did it in the markings of my old Tucano Squadron 72. And this was another charity build for the WizKids charity, very kindly donated by Matt from the West Midlands Police Model Club. So thank you very much, Matt. And I was going to eBay this, but actually one of my mates on the compound wanted it and made me a really, really generous offer. So I accepted, and that was a whole bunch of cash that's going to go towards a charity. Still waiting for that article to come out. That's going to be published in Air Modeler at some point. Don't know when. But as soon as that article drops and I get the fee, that fee is going to be donated as well to the project. And yeah, what a beautiful kit. Was that out of the box? No, I used resin exhausts on that one. I think that was it, actually. Was it just the resin exhausts? No, I used a HGW harness as well, which elevates things in the office. Maybe a little bit of wiring here and there in the cockpit, but otherwise pretty much as it came. Now, with the Qatari Spitfire under the fuselage along the seam, the rivets kind of fade out, and you're going to, any that don't fade out or you know are still present are going to get destroyed with sanding the seam. So what I ended up doing was removing all of them and then replacing them with some 3D printed decal rivets, which work really, really well. And that is a good gauge for a future project. Watch out for my 2025, what's coming 2025 video coming out soon. Okay, moving on and sticking with the 32nd scale Spitfire theme. This was the Tamir and Laminar Flow Designs conversion to convert Tamir's Mark 9 into a Mark 12. 3D printed conversion set from Matthew over in Belgium, and what a beautiful set. So I've got the Mark 14 sets in 32nd. I've also just received their Mark 5 set, which the Mark 5C conversion, which I've done a review on, and that'll be coming to the channel very soon. And it just worked beautifully. The design, the innovation just blew me away. Everything just kind of fell together. And again, this is one of my favorite kits in my cabinet. I always dismiss the Mark 12 as a bit funky looking. You know, who clips the wing on a Spitfire? Bit of an ugly nose. But actually, the more research I did, the more I fell in love with it. And I just think it looks like Wellard with that sort of real chunky nose and the clip wings. It really looks a bit beefy to me. And like I say, looks quite aggressive. So I've kind of fell in love with the subject. And the modelling experience was just beautiful. Lots of scratch building in the cockpit, extra detail. I threw in there some of Matthew's laminar flow designs, bits went in there. Some bits from friend of the channel, Roy, from Barracuda Studios. Some of the cockpit bits, the wheels. Yeah, just fabulous. And yeah, loved that project to absolute bits. And then the last one, which was finished just before Christmas, before I flew home, was the Airfix JetProv Mark III in 72nd scale. A project that I've always wanted to do, actually. Every time I see one of these models on display or in on YouTube or, you know, Facebook and Instagram, you know, places like that, it always looks brilliant, actually. Very refined. And in the new dark grey plastic, that's refined it even further. I did refine the panel lines on that one, if I'm honest, but didn't add any riveting, just a little bit of photo etch here and there. Sanded off all the framing off the canopy, polished it all back up, and then just masked it off and sprayed it, and that made a big difference. Again, that adds to the air of refinement. Barracuda Studios, Roy's resin ejection seats went in there, and yeah, beautiful little project to finish the year off. Really pleased with how that one turned out. So that's it. Again, about 12 projects for the year, so averaging about one a month. I probably could have done another project, but I had a bit of a duff shoulder, so that meant I had 5 weeks at home in sort of September, October. So I could have pumped out one or maybe two smaller projects in that time. But, you know, I think 12 is a pretty good output, actually, considering that I do all my modelling here in Saudi, and then when I go home from leave, nothing, no modelling at all. And actually we get, it's quite a generous time off package. So I think 12 is quite a good return. That's it. That is a run through of my 2025. If I was to pick a favourite, I have to say it's the 32nd scale Spitfire Mk12, the laminar flow designs conversion. Really innovative. Loved it from start to finish, and looks absolutely fabulous sat there in my display cabinet. And that is definitely my favourite. Right, 2025, I've got a few things to say about 2025, and this video's gone on long enough, so I'm going to do a separate video on what's coming in 2025, and it'll be interesting to see at the end of the year in the review of, did I stick to it? We shall have to see. Right, so look out for that one. What I'll do now is I'll leave you with a bit of a montage with a bit of music of my output and all the models from 2024. So happy new year, everybody, and I'll see you very soon for all the new tool announcements from all the various companies. We've already had a few already, haven't we? So there we are. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.